it during the resolution about Ship Leadership Academy. We have somebody here to present.
Well, we're going to have them present at the end of the.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's right.
Okay, so nobody objects to have those things. That brings us to presentations. Our first person that I'd like to have present is Chief Schofield. He has some awards for some of our officers.
We've got the 6 awards, 5 for Newcastle officers and 1 for Henry County Sheriff's Deputy for an incident that took place at one of the fire scenes. And also Wardlow's going to read a write-up that was submitted for the awards.
All right. At approximately 3 a.m. on April 26, 2022, Henry County Dispatch advised city police units to start to the 1600 block of Indiana Avenue in reference to a report of a structure fire. Officer Dustin Salt was on scene within 1 minute of the dispatch and advised other responding units that there were flames showing from the front of the apartment building. He further advised shortly thereafter that he had located 2 subjects that were trapped in an upstairs apartment and were only able to breathe by hanging out of the upstairs window. Upon arrival, I observed that nearly the entire front of the building was now fully engulfed in flames, which provided the only means of egress into the upstairs apartment and 2 other apartments on the east side. I observed 2 subjects in the upstairs apartment window next to the front of the building on the west side. They stated they were trapped inside and could not get out, and they were having a hard time breathing. There was heavy smoke coming from the building and from the window in which they were at. Officer Reese attempted to locate a ladder at the railroad building across the street, but was unable to gain access to one. Due to the rapid spreading of the fire and the immediate danger to the lives of the 2 subjects trapped inside, I directed Officer Evans to pull his patrol SUV alongside the burning building so that the roof of his patrol vehicle would be beneath the window and allow us the best chance of rescuing the 2 trapped subjects with the least likelihood of them or officers incurring any injury. Officer Evans used quick thinking and sound judgment and realized that he could not easily access that area of the building due to an obstruction at the corner and a pickup truck that was illegally parked between the curb and the building. Officer Evans was able to wedge his vehicle in close enough to get the roof underneath the window, at which time officers climbed onto the roof of the vehicle and were able to assist the individuals onto the roof of the patrol vehicle and then safely across the street. Had it not been for the actions of the officers on scene that night, with no regard for their personal safety, there is no doubt that the 2 subjects would have succumbed to the smoke and fire prior to arrival or rescue of any other agencies being feasible. Further, upon the successful rescue of the 2 trapped occupants, it was also learned that there were 3 other apartments that were currently being rented. Officers again made entry through the rear of the apartment building and cleared the only remaining apartments, and later learned that the occupants of this apartment had already made it out safely. It is my firm belief that the actions of the officers on scene displayed a selflessness, bravery, and dedication to the citizens of Newcastle, and their dedication reflects the highest values of the Newcastle Police Department and brings great credit upon themselves and their service. This act is deserving of recognition of the department's life-saving award, if only for the fact that their actions doubtlessly saved the lives of 2 of our citizens.
We're going to hand them out a certificate for their life-saving medal. We ordered the life-saving medal. They're all handmade, so it's going to take a little while before we get them. Officer Dustin Salt. Deputy Greg Yuknagovich. Sergeant Robert Sealover. Officer John Buckingham. Officer Ellis Evans. And Officer Tyler Reese.
You guys look real happy.
Mr. Mayor, while they're here, gang, thanks for bringing your families and kids and all over for babysitting anytime.
Yeah. Spoke like somebody had little kids in Orlando.
Coach, you know me better than that.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Mr. Chin signed up for shootout.
And Mayor already made it.
Okay, moving on now, our next presentation will be from Grayson Johnson.
You're on.
Okay, you gotta check. Mayor Yoke, members of the Newcastle City Council, and community members who are gathered here today. First and foremost, thank you for allowing my presence here tonight. For those who do not know me, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Grayson Jocelyn, and I am a proud citizen of Newcastle. I'm about to enter my sophomore year at Ball State University, currently majoring in both journalism and political science. However, I'm not here to talk about journalism, political science, or Ball State University. I am here to talk to you about something else that I'm passionate about. I take the utmost pride of being in Newcastle, and I appreciate the great history, heritage, and culture that this town has built over the past 2 centuries, and I'm glad that those 3 things have been celebrated en masse with the bicentennial of both our city and our county this month. The history of this city and this county is what led me here tonight. One of the things that I have been very passionate about all my life is flags and flag design. If you guys have ever seen the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper fun with flags, I'm close to that. I have the flags of both the United States and Indiana hanging in my bedroom. I love looking at flags and looking at the symbolism of them. Flags in cities in the U.S., especially for this size, are uncommon, so I was not surprised to know that Newcastle did not have a flag. The good thing about being a college student is that I have close to 3.5 months for summer break. And most of those days, I have nothing to do, nothing exciting for me to do. So during one of these days, I decided to create a few flags, and some of them for Newcastle. I did not design flags only for Newcastle, but also for Henry County as well, because I believe that with this being the 200th anniversary for both our city and our county, it would be the perfect time to introduce 2 flags. After getting these initial designs done, I sent them over to my friend Rowan Taylor, who graduated from Newcastle High School this year, and who also designed the new logos for the Newcastle Community School Corporation. And I asked her to simplify my concepts. I sent over the Henry County design to the commissioners, and I hope to get in contact with them soon about me showcasing my design to them. Hey. So I will now explain the various parts of symbolism for this flag. I want to start with the colors green and white. Now, you might think that it represents Newcastle High School. It does a little bit, but by the physical, mental, and emotional growth of this city and the people inside it as we enter our 3rd century, as we look to be a more including and diverse community in the middle of East Central Indiana. The white on this flag represents the empowerment of the people of this city to help improve Newcastle and to also represent the honor and the dignity this city has built itself over the previous 2 centuries, and hopefully to uphold that honor and dignity as we head into the future. The 4-sided stall on the right has 2 meanings. First, even though our city was first only incorporated in 1822, the 4 points on the flag represent the 4 nations that have owned the land that we are on right now. The various Native American nations, France, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The second meaning also represents 4 core values that have come to define Newcastle over the previous 200 years. Starting from the top point of the stall and going clockwise, we have progress for our first point. Newcastle is a city on the move, with many projects being completed in the past decade with an eye on the future. The construction of the 1400 Plaza, the opening of the River White Trail, the reinvigoration of Saturday night cruise-ins, the opening of the Bull's Head Factory, the reclamation of our field house as the largest high school gym in the world. And those are just a few of the many outstanding and phenomenal projects that are taking place in this great city. This shows Newcastle's dedication to tomorrow, guiding our way as we enter our 3rd century. The second point is for resilience. This point on the stall represents the strength of our people in our city to come back stronger than ever from any setback. One particular event that came to mind whenever I was designing this flag was the 1917 tornado that struck Newcastle. This event completely altered the history of our town. Many of the greenhouses that gave our city the nickname of the Rose City were destroyed in that tornado, which caused over $1 million in damages. The cause of this city's fame was erased in one of, if not the darkest day the city has ever had. However, the fortitude and resilience of our citizens in this town never wavered, and they built back this community more than physically, which leads me to my 3rd point on the stall: community. The 1917 tornado brought this town closer to each other than ever, and that sense of community has been the core trait of our city ever since. We have a sympathetic and warm-hearted community, with people in this town being selfless and putting Newcastle before themselves. The way I see it, the people of Newcastle are one big family. Our community has a very tight connection with us willing in any way to come to the aids of our friends, neighbors, strangers, and family. These stories of goodwill and offering truly do represent the beautiful and optimistic community that we for children and for everyone else living in this town. Our city is the classic epitome of Hoosier hospitality if there ever was one. On the right of the flag in the green portion, you can see a rose, which represents one of the main nicknames for our town and one that I mentioned earlier, the Rose City. As I have mentioned before, a century ago, Newcastle became known not only in the state, but across the United States for its numerous greenhouses containing American beauty roses. These American beauties became the symbol of Newcastle until that fateful day in March 1917, when the livelihood of Newcastle was ripped away by Mother Nature's furious hands. A century later, the Rose City moniker is still alive, being used at various businesses across the city. However, the symbolism of the rose has also allowed for its inclusion onto this flag. The rose represents the city's courage and bravery throughout the toughest of situations, the enthusiasm and passion of the people of the city, from the farmers market to our basketball games, and the friendship, community, and heart that everyone in the city shares. This flag would be a great way to celebrate this city's 200th birthday. I am looking forward to hearing your response and constructive criticism to this flag, not just from the city council, but from everyone out in the lobby today and across this great town. I truly want this flag to represent the over 17,000 people living in this town, and I will listen to everyone and try my best to make a flag that truly represents the spirit and determination of the people living in this great city. Thank you.
So, do we get to keep the poster, or do we,
If you want to, that's fine.
Yeah, just leave up against here for now.
Okay.
Is there a process of having an actual flag made, or are you looking into that, or?
I know that there are some websites that allow flags to be made. I have not actually looked at that. I thought about it. I just went to Walgreens a few days ago just to print this out, so I'll be looking at that within the next few days.
In the late 90s, Stephanie Kinzer made a flag for the city. And I had an actual flag made. I don't have any idea who made it or where it was made, but you did a great job. You very constructive. Appreciate
Thank you.
your effort. And so when they say college kids don't work for freshman year, it looks like you've been doing something at Ball State. So
Thank you so much.
we'll stay in touch, and if you find any information out about a flag, let us know, or any other feedback from the council, suggestions or ideas, or. Okay, so it's a great job.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
Hey, you know right off here, the Newcastle's around the world, do those other Newcastle cities have flags that?
I'm sure they do, but.
On the front of the newsletter, I think they usually use
Yeah, we can find out.
timbers.
I think I've seen some flags.
Yeah.
Border.
Well, now this next gentleman has a hard act to follow. Mr. Murphy.
Oh, man.
I will take a cover last.
Have you? I think you got work done.
What's your emphasis in political science?
Just general
All
political
right, so
science.
there's hope. My degree is in political science, so it is a tough act to follow. Appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you.
So the PowerPoint answers the question, what have you done for me lately? That is really a 2021 recap. It's scrolled at our annual meeting. Happy to answer any questions. Probably my favorite slides in there refer to the small business grant opportunities that we ran in cooperation with county government. Keep in mind that we ran a very similar program in cooperation with the city of Newcastle in 2020. But some of those businesses that are referred to in that program were actually in the city. I have to remind people, not you, but I have to remind people the city is in the county. I know that's controversial, but that's in the county. So take that home, use it for sleep medicine, or you can line it. If you have a cat, you can put it in the kitty litter box. So that's the PowerPoint. Update on tourism. I tried to get a video out to you via text. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm just now realizing that I maybe missed Jeff, but Jeff isn't here, so.
Check this out.
All right, so.
Watch a video.
Okay. So we launched a 39-second YouTube video promoting tourism in Henry County. It's available on Facebook. I would commend it to you, share it. We're getting ready to launch our travel guide, printed travel guide, and it'll be available on PDF. But as you talk to your friends, your classmates, there are several classes having reunions, right? Hoopsinhenry.com is a really good source for community information, visitor information. Where do I stay? What do I do? Hoopsinhenry.com. In terms of economic development activity, we have the spec building out in the industrial park. We have 3 active conversations on that spec building going on right now. They all may go away tomorrow, but it is nice in this process. Oftentimes we're blind dating. We fill out RFIs or RFQs and not knowing who we're talking to is through a middle person, whether that be the state or a consultant, but it's always nice when they come back for more information, either asking questions. It's even better when they come for a visit. And so all of those three have made a visit or will make a visit, and some have made multiple visits. So I'm encouraged that the spec building is doing its job in terms of timing, with the inflation and with the supply chain issues. We definitely have a competitive advantage in terms of speed to market because the steel's there, the building's up, and I hope that ultimately ends in a new corporate client, new jobs and investment. Lots of activity downtown. And so in partnership with Carrie Barrett, Newcastle Main Street, Councilman Dickin, in terms of business attraction, and then local business is growing. There's a ton of activity downtown Newcastle. Probably my favorite is there are 3 different breweries looking at downtown Newcastle. A brewery and or a tap room. If we land one of them, that provides a gathering space, after hours. Sometimes I have to say that a craft brew pub or a tap room is not the same as a bar. It's not. It's a different clientele. There's all kinds of literature out there within the economic development community that in terms of community prosperity, community development, having that type of establishment is really, really important. And so I appreciate the partnership with Main Street and Councilman Dickin and others to be able to, 3 of those businesses looking at us. That's phenomenal. We had a good BRAP meeting last night. BRAP, so Councilman Walden is on the committee, I'm on the committee. Carrie staffs the committee. She asked me if I wanted to talk about it, and I said no, so I'm just setting it up, whether she talks tonight or later. We had a great meeting last night, great projects, all different types, lots of momentum, lots of forward momentum. I want to switch gears to the airport. I serve on the City Board of Aviation. We're still working through, so from a practical standpoint, it is a City of Newcastle Board of Aviation. From the FAA standpoint, it's somewhere lost in the bureaucracy. In other words, we're waiting on the FAA to approve the official change of ownership and change of sponsorship from city, county over to city. But I can tell you at a real practical level, a real local level, we're functioning as a City Board of Aviation with this one important caveat. Until they approve it, the Henry County Auditor's Office is our fiscal agent. They receive the grant money. And we do have another grant coming that funds our apron, and I've talked to you about the apron in the past. One thing's true, things don't move really fast with the FAA. So the apron is the airplane parking, and I'm told by our engineer that Dave O'Mara, that's who won the bid, Dave O'Mara Contractors, they'll deliver material the last week of June 2022, right? So in a couple weeks, and they'll break ground right after the 4th of July for the expansion of the apron out of the airport. And much of that is being paid for, the 90+% is being paid for the federal and state funds. So there's an update on the airport. Finally, I want to give you an update from a city redevelopment perspective. From time to time, the City Redevelopment Commission amends its plan. And so last year we amended the plan, and it comes to you at 2 different times. One, it comes to you after the City Planning Commission votes on it. And so you're blessing what the City Planning Commission says. from a planning and zoning perspective. And then the city RDC holds a public hearing, and then it comes back to you for final approval. And so this is an effort, A, to communicate and to give you a heads up. The city RDC is going to start that process at their meeting tomorrow. But we wanted to engage in this communication. The plan will do three things. It will allow the City Redevelopment Commission to consider a contribution to the capital campaign of the YMCA. So when I say capital campaign, I mean building expansion for the specific purpose of enhancing before and after school childcare. We have heard from our employers that before and after school childcare is critical. And the YMCA is seeking to tackle that. And it is lawful to use TIF funds, capital expenditures. And so, but we have to amend our plan first. So that's the first reason for the amendment. The second reason for the amendment is, and I know you've heard a presentation on this topic, but there's some improvements going on in Bundy Auditorium. And there's a need for lighting and technology. Redevelopment commissions, if it's in their plan, can contribute to certain things involving school. Not all things involving school, but this one fits. And so the Redevelopment Commission has an interest in making a contribution, but it can until they go through a plan amendment. And finally, I believe at your last meeting, when you looked at your appropriation of your ARP funds, you all included Make My Move Worker Attraction Program. Thank you for that, by the way. Once the ARP funds aren't available, we want to look to use TIF to fund the worker attraction. Because we know money's tight in your general fund, so on and so forth. So those are the three reasons for the amendment. We kick that process off this week. It'll go through, statute says you have to do this, this, and this. And so starts with the RDC, goes to the Planning Commission, comes to you, RDC holds a public hearing, and then comes back to you for approval. So not necessarily looking for anything tonight other than a heads up. If you have questions now or later, feel free to ask. If you have concerns, we'd like to hear those as well. That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Will you keep us updated with that as a city board?
I will.
Please? Just an email. Yes.
Thank you.
Corey, I don't have much on what you talked about tonight, but you got any updates on the wayfinding study?
Yep, it's my fault that we haven't moved off the dime. I just need to coordinate a time for everybody to get together. So, I mean, that's the honest truth.
You got nothing else going on.
It's still on my radar. It's important.
I'd just like to have a sign up on the east side of town if all possible.
I understand.
That's what I'm looking for.
Yep. July probably, for the initial meeting. I feel like I'm all respect to the cats, I feel like I'm cat herding. A couple from the county, a couple from the city, a couple from the town, and trying to coordinate all that, but it's on my list. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Corey. Okay, next we'll have Carrie Barrett come forward. And before you start, come on up. And, I just wanted to thank you for your work with this VRAP program. I had the opportunity last night to sit in the public meeting, and I thought there was just a lot of good discourse and give and take, and I didn't feel like there was a single yes person in the group as far as just rubber stamping it. And I just thought it was a good process, and I appreciate you and, of course, all the members of the group. Thanks.
It's been a great experience, actually. Thank you, Rex. And so I'm Carrie Barrett with Newcastle Main Street, and we recently, Newcastle Main Street was given, well, we were allowed to grant money to businesses downtown. So we took that very seriously. We had a committee of 5. Councilman Walden, like Corey said, was on that committee. And last night we awarded quite a bit of money, but we have some more work to do. We're trying to make that money stretch a little bit farther. I can never know, further or farther. We're trying to make that money stretch. So we have some more decisions to make, but I thought I could give you an update. Last night, we think we awarded approximately $380,000. That leverages to $1.1 million worth of projects downtown. And those projects would be 53 full-time jobs created, 6 new businesses, and 1 new downtown living space. So I am really excited about that. So that's it. I'm being vague on purpose because we have some more work to do with some contractors. But I can answer any questions vaguely if you'd like me to. But I'm excited about the project. It's going to be great. Really.
It sounds great. I mean, I was there. It sounded just phenomenal. Game changer.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carrie.
And I did want to say thanks to Grayson because I was moved by your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I mean, we did the bicentennial. Oh my God. Just for you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Dick, would you like to introduce our next guest?
Yeah, this is in reference to resolution 06212022-3. It's approving the expenditure of $2,000 to the Schaefer Leadership Academy to do some team assessments. I think this just helps with efficiency and overall just gets everybody on the same page. I think it's continuing ed is what we call it in the insurance world, and just further development that really positive. So Jeff Robinson from Schaefer Leadership Academy has volunteered to skip their annual meeting to join us.
Well, I left the annual meeting early, but good evening, council. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Jeff Robinson. I'm the Development Director with Schaefer Leadership Academy. For those of you who aren't familiar with Schaefer Leadership Academy, we're a nonprofit organization. We're based in Muncie, Indiana, and our mission is quite simple, is to provide inclusive leadership development so that people, organizations, and in this case, communities, can reach their full potential. We do this in a number of ways, and the way that I'm here to speak with you about this evening is through our custom programming side of things. We work with all of the largest employers in Delaware County and beyond. Some of our biggest clients are folks like Tyson Foods. We work with their Portland facility, and we're actually in discussions to speak with we'll start working with their Amherst, Ohio facility. We've also spoken with their corporate trainers and are looking at doing some work with them corporation-wide. We also work with Ball State University, Muncie Community Schools, and in particular, and something that Councilman Dicken reached out to me about, was our work that we do with the City of Muncie and the work we do with Delaware County government. In addition to my duties as Development Director with Schaefer Leadership Academy, I'm also President of the Muncie City Council. So I feel like I'm in a unique position to understand all of the jobs that you do and how difficult it is and what the public doesn't see. And what can end up being some difficulties through no fault of anyone's. But when it comes to communication, when it comes to working between a council and an administration, these are not unique problems. These are not really problems. I won't call them that, but I'll say issues. We all, as elected officials, want to do the best that we can and be the most efficient we can be for our citizenry. That's what our jobs are. And Schaefer Leadership Academy, some of the work we've done in the city of Muncie, as some of you might be familiar, we have our former mayor who was just released from federal prison a couple of weeks ago. We had a number of administration officials from the last administration who ended their term at the end of 2019 serve federal prison time. There was a lack of transparency, there was a lack of ethics, there was a lot of mistakes being made by people that were put into positions of trust. Schaefer Leadership Academy really led the way in helping to redefine how government works in Muncie. We provided a Transparency in Government Summit where we invited citizens in and as well as elected officials in late 2019. Then I was a candidate. I want to make sure you all know I was not in elected office when the FBI investigations were taking place. We hosted a Transparency in Government Summit where we brought together citizens, elected officials, candidates to talk about and really brainstorm, spent a day together identifying ways that the government can best communicate with citizens. That's one example. Another example is we've been hosting for the last 2 years. In addition to the city of Muncie's problems, the Muncie Sanitary District also had some issues that are well recorded. The former district administrator just began her first stint in federal prison just last week. So we've provided ethics training for the Muncie Sanitary District since then. And I will say that these problems do not exist in the city of Muncie anymore. I say this to tell you that we've done a lot of work with the community that needed a lot of work done. We're on the right path now. Something I'm very proud of, I'm a Democrat, president of a Republican-controlled city council with a Republican administration. So it's something that I take great pride in working together. It's something that Schaefer Leadership Academy promotes, that we want to work together with anyone who wants to work with us. That's how things get done. We don't get things done by fighting and arguing and constantly trying to one-up each other and take credit from one another. We get things done by working together. So what we've got here for you this evening is I met with Councilman Dickens as well as Councilman Peckinpah several weeks ago and told them about what we call our assessment process. And essentially, this is how we begin working with any new clients. The assessment process I always equate to going to the doctor's office to get your annual physical, or maybe going to a mechanic shop to get your car taken a look at. So the assessment is the physical, or is the diagnostics. We go through, and during this assessment process, we'll send out anonymous surveys to all city employees. They'll respond to that. Again, these are completely anonymous surveys. We use what's called the Gallup Q12 quotient. And this is a tried and true method to be able to get information so that we can best be informed on issues that might be taking place. After the anonymous survey, we then move into the next phase, which is considered confidential conversations. We'll ask you, whether it's the mayor or the council, to identify key individuals within the administration as well as the council. And we will schedule 30-minute meetings with each of those individuals, myself and our executive director, Mitch Isaacs. And we'll come in with very targeted questions. Everyone will be asked the same questions. Everyone will receive those questions in advance. And we'll come in, all of those are confidential. And what that's trying to do is take the information we receive from the survey process and really hammer down with key individuals, asking another series of questions to be able to really come back at that point with the prescription. That prescription will be a curriculum. That prescription will be recommendations, not necessarily something you have to take, something we recommend you take, but certainly there is no commitment beyond the assessment process. When we come back to you, we'll tell you, these are the things we want you to do. These are the things we recommend you do, and we can facilitate that curriculum. Ms. Barrett is a member of our board of directors, so she can speak to our credibility. Sorry, should I just called you Carrie? Whenever I'm in a council meeting, I feel very formal, so I apologize. The assessment process itself, this is how we begin working with folks. We don't want to just come in and do work with you, right? We want to come in and do meaningful and impactful work with you that we know is addressing real issues within your organization, in this case, the city of Newcastle. The assessment process is subject, or it's hard to say affordable, and affordable is a subjective term, but it's $2,000, and that's all in. And at the end of that assessment process, you'll receive a lengthy report I provided Councilman Dickon with an example of that report from an actual assessment we did with another organization. The names and things have been changed to protect confidentiality. But that really gives you a very holistic view of issues that the administration, the council, and the city of Newcastle's government may be facing. Some of the things we do, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. We have modules that focus on communication, interpersonal relations, things like that. So, it's a great process. I say that because we've gone through it in the city of Muncie. Again, not only do I work here, but I've gone through this process as city council president. And currently, as a result of that assessment process that we did for the Ridenour administration in Muncie, we've been doing a lot of training with the city of Muncie. We've been working with them on an individual basis since really intently for the last 6 months. A number of different programs, from social media training. There's communication issues and some members of the administration that maybe we're a little careless on social media, things like that. We know how that can go. So provided some social media training and PR training. Again, the ethics training that I talked about. So this is something we'd like to do and to begin a relationship with Newcastle City government and see how we might be able to help. That's a lot of information, I understand. So I'm happy to entertain any questions and I'll do my best to answer those.
So what other city besides Muncie you guys?
Yeah, we've been working with, we've also worked with Tipton County. We've worked with Tipton County, we've worked with Muncie, Delaware County. Really, our work has begun. We didn't realize until 2019 how important the work with governments was. Things happening in our own backyard really showed, we as an organization can really make a difference here. So we've got, in addition to those, we've also done work in Jay County, Portland. We've also done work, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I knew I should have brought a list, but a handful, not many, but a handful. And at the end of the day, government is business. The way it works, the department heads, these are all professionals that you have here. We all elected officials, that's questionable about how well we know what we do, but certainly when it comes to the department heads and the professionalism of those and the way that the government works, whether it's the city government, county government, state government, or a nonprofit organization or for-profit, the bones are all the same. So, and really we're in the people business, so really it's helping to tweak behaviors and help people to understand better about themselves and how the things they do affect others around them and how that may affect the organization as a whole. So it's a long answer to your question, but the short answer is a handful.
So, Jeff, is each person associated with the city, whether it be an employee or politician, are they contacted to do the survey?
Yes, yeah. So what we
Is
would...
there a follow-up to make sure that everyone's done that, or?
Yes. Yep. So what we typically do is, if this is something that the council chooses to move forward with, this is something I'm happy to, if there's a designee, whether that's Councilman Peckinpah, Councilman Dickon, it's Councilman Dickon and I who started working together through a referral from Carrie. I'm happy to work with one point person to determine, to get those email addresses to send the anonymous survey out to, or we can send that to one and then that person can send them out. And then identifying those key administration officials, as well as the entire council, to get your contact information and begin getting those confidential conversations set up. So if you say yes to this, we'll be following up quite regularly.
So would Mayor York and President Peckinpah be?
That would be who I would recommend, would be President Peckinpah as well as Mayor York. I think those two gentlemen as the elected president of the council, And I'm sorry for your job. I know how tough that is. But that would be the natural choice that we would want to work with, would be the two of those gentlemen.
I have another question. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I probably should have put it with my first question.
Oh, you're fine.
It sounded like you were successful once, but the other cities that you've been involved with or counties, has it been a good success rate?
It's been different because it's not been as involved as the city of Muncie. Because it's in our own backyard and we currently and have those relationships, it doesn't hurt that I'm president of the city council and obviously have that relationship. Yes, I've filled out my conflict of interest forms, and I'm not the sales point of contact for the city of Muncie. That's my executive director. But we've done a lot more work in Muncie and Delaware County than we have anywhere else. And I can tell you, Delaware County, we've just recently started working with the Delaware County government. But the other areas, we've done limited work. We haven't done the assessment process with Tipton and Jay County and Portland and some of those others. But we have come in and done, we have a program called Fusion, Leading Multi-Generational Teams. There are five different generations in the workforce, and we have a program that goes in. It's a game board. We go in, we work with a group of people that are all different generations to help understand why, millennials might do things a little different than a baby boomer or Gen Xer. In that respect, it has been successful. We get rave reviews after. In fact, we have about a 96%. We send out surveys after every session we do, no matter who we're working with, and get about a 96% approval rating on those. So I'd say it's been pretty successful.
Well, and I believe you. Don't get me wrong, I do believe you. But myself, I would like to also contact other places. that
Sure.
have
Yeah.
Dealt with, just to see, get their feedback as well.
Yeah, I'd be happy to provide you with some references, if that would help. I would encourage you, first and foremost, if you've got any relationship with Dan Ridenour, Mayor of Muncie, or Deputy Mayor Richard Ivey, those have been our two main points of contact, as well as the HR representative, Michael Wilson. Delaware County government, I would recommend you reach out to either Shannon Henry or I would really recommend Sherry Riggin. Sherry Riggin's the current president of the County Commissioners. Sherry, if anyone knows, Sherry Riggin's been a county commissioner for ages. Comes from Riggin Farms, Riggin Dairy. I would recommend you reach out to her. In addition to that, again, I would highly recommend you talk to Ms. Barrett, and as a board member, she can speak to a lot of the work we've done. We also, last year, the Henry County Newcastle Chamber of Commerce was a member organization of Schaefer Leadership Academy, so they had access to all of our programming. Sean McCain would be a good resource for you to reach out to here locally. Beyond that, it would be, private organizations, but again, I'm happy to make that connection between you and them, whether it be an email introduction or however you prefer that to happen.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yep, appreciate it. Thank you all very much.
Okay, that brings us to committee and council reports. We'll go to Mr. Guffey.
First of all,
I'm sorry. Time for public comments. So if anybody in the audience would like to come forward and speak, please do so.
But make me go first. My name's Terry Taylor. I own property here in Newcastle at 1413 South Plant. And I'm hearing all this great stuff going on here in Newcastle, but I'm kind of sitting in a spot right now where it's not so great. We have an issue with parking, and there virtually is no parking for Penny and I. And I need to see what we need to do to address that, or what can we do? Because it's not working for me, and it's definitely not working for her. And I feel that we have a neighbor that is using the street as his parking lot, as his storage. And I don't know what else we can do about that. I mean, there's nothing she and I can do, so we're both trying here today to ask for help. And, you know, Penny's been taking pictures and calling in, and they've been marking the cars. The police department's doing what they're supposed to do. But it's kind of a thing, I guess it boils down to that everything he's doing is legal. I don't know. So we really need help, and that's kind of what I'm here for today, is to ask for that help. And, you know, I was really excited to hear all the good stuff going on. I hate coming up here with something bad now.
That's
But
okay.
I apologize for that, but we do need help.
It's why we're here.
Okay, and the reason is, he's a single guy, has nobody living with him. He has, I think, 8 vehicles, 8 or 9 vehicles. He's a truck driver, so now he's gone. And so they're sitting there. I've had them sit there over 30 days, and then he moves them. Then I have to start the process again, but they have to be moved every 14 days, and then they ticket them. And then another 15 days before they'll start towing them. And at one time I had that, and his name here.
Well, we don't need to mention any names.
The police officer.
Okay.
The police officer, Officer McClare, and to say, okay, let's give you one more chance, let's take this day and start brand new all over again. So I've done that, took pictures and everything else, and today he come out and because they are now like been sitting there for 21 and 22 days straight, never moved. He also, me and her have both, Sam is a handicap, so we come to the guys and got the sign, and I'm handicapped from back surgery, some different things, so I come and got one too. And somehow, he got handicap plates, and so the police officer told me, any handicap can park there. Yeah, fine, I know that. But I think there's kind of, and I don't know until I talked to Commissioner of the B&B, there's a second part to that that says, though, he has to be using that vehicle for whoever's handicapped. And I'm sure he's not handicapped, so he's leaving for days on end, and he cannot, we can't use the parking places for our own convenience.
Does he have a handicap license plate on that vehicle?
Yeah,
or he
all of
doesn't?
them.
But he,
On all of them?
all of them.
He's even got a bag of plates in the back of one of the vehicles.
bag of plates.
Yes.
He calls himself a collector.
Well, he's using our streets as
You're
a parking
exactly
area.
right.
Yeah,
We need to
storage.
address, something has to be done.
Yes.
I drove by, I feel your pain, I saw exactly what was going on, and it's not acceptable. So we'll get with the traffic committee, we're gonna have to readdress our parking ordinance.
Yeah, I can't live there. I haven't been able to live there, and I can't even move out. Penny's even thinking of moving, and she's been there longer than anybody's lived there on that street.
Yeah, 45 years, so.
So it's there's a lot of good things going on in Newcastle, but for us, we're
You've been very patient, I think.
we're really dragging with this. We need help.
I think it's a police matter. I mean, I hate to put it on you guys, but it's on you. I mean,
The issue
I
is,
know you're busy, but
why?
But if the ordinance, if there was an ordinance that
Well,
said,
14 days.
yeah.
About what do you have to say?
ordinance on drugs.
You're gonna have to reevaluate the ordinance.
Well, write it and tell us how to reevaluate it.
Can I show you this?
Present it next meeting.
Okay.
And
Yes.
we'll
Yeah, because,
I mean,
honestly,
Something
the only issue
on the storage lot for the street.
this is, Lee, he knows, we've been dealing with this, and it's very hard. I try to negotiate with him and different stuff. He's talking about building a garage, and he's got that empty lot, and we're hoping it's gonna be done, and he moves cars up there, but it's just not happening. You're gonna have to change, unfortunately, you're gonna probably have to change this ordinance for this one incident in town, because I've never ran into anybody else that's bought this many cars, just leave them on the street.
Is there like a habitual offender clause or something?
Well, he's not breaking any laws
Can
whatsoever.
we limit the number of cars an individual can park on our city streets?
I think you probably can now.
That might be
We have to
the.
keep an eye.
Yeah, that might be the first spot.
This
to
car
start.
3 inches.
Yeah.
So maybe you can, maybe our
Thanks for our
first
Supreme
department will look into that.
He said that's against.
And
people's civil
I will
rights.
come up with,
Let me ask you
A
this,
plan.
this doesn't matter,
what's that?
this ordinance.
Well, you can say it does, but by the ordinance, you move the car 3 inches, you're within the
Right.
ordinance.
Well, I understand on the parking, I mean, here,
But
this
it's
is storage. This is different.
I think,
This is what you're doing.
Is that the city ordinance?
Yeah.
I think it's up to he has access where he can get on the street.
so I think we,
Show that to him.
He said he's made an excuse, he doesn't want to park on those lots because he doesn't have gravel, he's gonna bring gravel, well, he's not parking gravel in, but to make any kind of, to do, you know, to try and help the situation out. He more or less, he asked me to move my vehicle all the way up to the corner so that his, security cameras would keep an eye on his. And I told him, no, I wasn't moving mine all the way up because her camera catches my vehicles too. And especially when I got hit, and somebody hit me head on coming the wrong way on the street, she had that. So I told her I wasn't gonna move up there. And I have always been, like I said, I've lived there 45 years, you know, want people on both sides. If they have 2 vehicles, it's really crowded for me to get 2 vehicles. So I've always put one there, or I parked across the street when the apartments were there because not most of them have vehicles, which is no problem. And my husband and I, we got gravel, and so we could park in the back, put gravel down to try and do it. Before I put up a fence for a dog, I'd even pull in the backyard just because somebody else was in the parking place in front of my house, because it's not mine, but, you know. So I have tried to work it, and he asked me, and then I said, no, I'm not moving it. He goes, that's okay, you'll pay. So he's just done this harassment about parking vehicle.
He's threatened all of us.
well, what we'll do is we'll have our attorney, Mr. Harvey, in conjunction with our chief of police, try to come up with something for us to look at next meeting that we can vote on and possibly do something about the problem.
Okay, and
We recognize there's a problem and we're gonna address it.
Okay, so, and can somebody somehow, because I am horrible with the internet, I hate the internet, and I can't find things, so I'm trying to find it, to find out if, like the second clause of, if he's parked there, or I'm parked there, or you use my vehicle and you go park in a handicap place, you can get in trouble and get ticketed for that because you're not using, I'm not there and you're not using it for me. You cannot use my vehicle for your convenience to park in a handicap.
Well, you can, the problem is you probably don't know who is actually driving the department.
We don't know how he got his, we don't know how he got it.
I will research the state's law on handicap placards and plates and have to dig a little deeper.
Yeah, 'cause it was my
Looking at the
understanding,
fine print.
it was my understanding that you can have as many handicap places you want as long as it's your vehicle and you're the handicap person. Or if you're married, or if it's your child. But if you're just saying, well, I got this handicap because I'm driving so-and-so around, and he's got all those placards because of that, that's the part that they're saying is illegal. But we don't know that, and we can't know that, because he's not gonna tell us that. That's what she's asking.
We do have an ordinance against somebody parking a trailer and running a water hose, electricity to it against them. So it sounds like we need to take this ordinance. It doesn't mention anything in there about multiple vehicles, so the guy considers himself a collector. I guess we have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think we can probably take care of the issue by adding one line, probably to this ordinance.
And can I ask one more thing? I really need to get into my house, and I can't get in there to move anything out.
He blocks your driveway?
The only way I have to get in my house is to park in the front. I can't park in the back. There's no way for me to go from the back to in the house. I can't walk on the side of it. I mean, there's no entrance that way for me. I have to park in the front. So, and I can't move. I've been in a dead standstill for a long time. And I'm really.
Is your house 1413?
Yes.
And is yours next door?
1409.
I mean, Denny was letting me park in her parking place while she was gone. Well, now he's taking all of them. So now, you know, I mean, I had to leave. I can't live there. But I have to move out. I can't just keep this house and be held at bay. You know, I just can't. I'm financially hurting bad. I can't do it. So I need
We'll
help.
get something on the books by the next meeting.
And if,
Come on,
As soon as we can do it, 2 weeks.
and another thing that might be kind of add on, maybe, if he can, if anybody continues to stay there and park and park and park, and you come and the police come and they ticketed him 3 times. And then he moves it enough to say, I moved it, that's fine. But, you know, if the same vehicle has the same problem, I think, you know, after like the 3rd time, hey, we're going to give you a ticket and fine you for
It's
it.
wasting a lot of the police officer's time.
I think if they add probably what the chief is suggesting, that will be alleviated to a big degree, so. But we'll get on it.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Sorry for the bad news.
It's okay. Thank you. Is there any other citizens wishing to appear before the council? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to committee reports. Mr. Guffey.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mike Bergen for arranging the Scout Troop 465. They're doing an Eagle Scout project to Osborne Park. Thank you for letting them do that. They were thrilled. They feel like the county has kind of given them the boot out of their part, but thank you. It's awesome, and maybe we can continue to use some. Also, thanks for the repairs on 25th Street. Thanks, Lee. I greatly appreciate that. And that's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Walton.
Just a couple of things. Land bank, Joel, the last demolition that the city has, we have interest in the open lot now. Pretty well set, so it's going to be another lot sold at land bank.
It's on Church Street, correct?
Church Street.
114 Church Street, or 1114 Church Street.
Yeah. So that structure needed to come down very badly. It's about ready to come down on its own, so that's turned into a positive force. Working with BRAP, just to add a little bit to what Carrie said. There were a couple of projects where the roofs will be fixed. Basically, it's the same company, all except for one project. And Bill Brown and myself will be talking with the building owners tomorrow to see if they'd be willing to try to group all those together and hopefully get a discount on the jobs. And with that discount, that money go back to where we can help some of the other projects hopefully. What I'd like to present to you as a council is just something for you to think about. It's a suggestion. Eric, I know you've brought this up a couple of times, but I'd like for us to think about fixing the roof on the Murphy building and the Mariana buildings and possibly get them on the market and get them off our hands. And if we were to do that, we might be able to group this in with those projects and maybe save some money along the way. So just consider that. I don't want an answer tonight.
We can fix those roofs with ARP money. That's legal.
I just consider. I want everyone to think about it. Mr. Mayor, I even want your input on that.
You do or you don't?
I did.
Oh, okay, all right.
I did. I don't want an answer tonight. I want you to put some serious thought into it. And it needs to happen. The roof has to be fixed. So just think about that. Hopefully we, down the road, won't get in the situation that the county was with a couple of structures. So.
Yeah.
Do you want to thank for the 25th Street League? It's a nice job on that. I know Mike, I drove that, at least twice. Right. So I do appreciate that. I do want to thank Carrie for all the hard work she did with that. We did that, 2 months?
Yes.
And to me, with what the outcome has been, that's amazing. Come up with application forms and different attachment forms and have meetings and go through this and add $2.2 million to the downtown overall, fixing it up. I think that's quite a compliment. Is it perfect? No.
I know Carrie wanted to stay a little vague about that, but is there somewhere we could see a list of applications or what has been approved?
Yeah, it's a public meeting. If you want to look at it,
It'll be in your minutes.
I have it here.
You have it? Okay.
I have it here if you want to look at it. I don't mind at all.
Okay.
Because it's a public meeting.
So are those public meetings advertised? or
Yes.
Through the what?
The paper and on the door.
I saw it, I went. You take the newspaper?
Yes, because we've got Haley writing.
I take the newspaper. I just wanted to make sure everybody else did that.
I just, right now.
So was it put in there like this?
She doesn't do the
I
public.
don't want to take anything from the RDC meeting tomorrow, so that's, but we did have a public meeting last night, so.
Okay, but you do have a list of those applications
Yes,
and
there
the
were
ones
14,
approved?
there were 14.
Okay, all right, just curious. Yeah.
Yep. You're more than welcome to look at it after this. Okay? Anything else? All right, thank you.
Mr. Dickon.
Just want to recognize Juneteenth. Got to celebrate with a lot of great community members on Saturday. Did not go Sunday, but it was a 2-day event. So I know I saw Brenda and Rex there. Just a really great time to, again, gather as a community and celebrate National Holiday. So just wanted to mention that.
Okay, Mr. Cody.
Thanks, Lee, for the signs on Main Street, and great for the fixing of the water main on 12. Corey leave, or he just step out?
He's going to get the application so you
Well,
guys can see it.
yeah.
I told him there was nothing.
Notice today in the Muncie Star that Muncie used $2.6 million of ready money. McKinley, what was it, McKinley something?
McKinley Columbus Streetscape Project,
Okay.
as well as some matching funds for home revitalization in the Whiteley community.
Where's our ready money stand right now?
Well, I'll speak to that, and Your Honor, you can chime in. We've had meetings, the mayor and I, Ken Gray, Bobby Plummer,
Corey's on the committee, so.
Yeah, representatives from Knightstown and Corey. We started out with a fairly reasonable list of projects, and we've sent several projects with Corey to the regional meeting. We got awarded, what was it, 1.8 or 1.9 million for this, for basically our county, which more or less was pretty much the slice of the pie if we were getting kind of an equal slice, although some places are bigger and got a little more.
Yeah, I know all that.
The projects that were, the main project that the group agreed on for Henry County was some infrastructure going out to the 109 exit there by Knightstown because of the potential for development coming east from Indianapolis. I know the hospital, they're ready to build, according to Brian Ring, they're ready to build as soon as they can get water and sewer.
So we're ready to combine the whole amount?
It has to be. Corey, would you, I'll ask Corey to address this because he's an expert on ready money. Would you come and talk a little bit about ready?
Do you need to go grab the ready binder?
Because Mark knows that, Mark knows that they were.
Don't go into details.
In other words, you don't want me to be me.
I want to read the digest version of, refresh my memory, does the whole 1.5 million have to be spent on one thing, or can it, or is it going to be separated? Or,
Okay, here we go. Ready?
yeah, real quick.
15 million award.
We got that, I got all that.
Okay. So the
Just all that.
the geography of Henry County,
Yeah.
1.6.
Yes.
So then I invited a representative from this body, a representative from the county,
Yeah.
2 towns,
Yeah.
and I said, here are the projects. How do you want to spend it?
Okay. It doesn't have to go in front of us for county council to vote on?
No.
Did we approve that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I understand that.
I mean, what's the,
Well, I
My
think,
question was, is Muncie just spent 2.6 on the projects in Muncie? And so it just brought it to my attention, myself, that, hey, what are we doing first? That's all.
Yeah, $1 million for the water at 109. 192,000 for a library accessibility project in Nicetown.
Maybe.
190,000 for the YMCA, 220 for the Wilburite Trail. The caveat for the Nicetown Library and the YMCA is if they don't have a complete funding package by the end of November, that money comes back and the same people that decided assign.
And then Y's for before and after school.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. That's all I got. Thanks, Morgan.
anything else? Okay, Mr. Brew?
I've got a couple of things here. I had a building owner downtown wanted me to ask some questions. They couldn't be here tonight. On the mural project, I know that there was some not gonna say hoops, but other committees they had to go through. Do you know if they're following through, like with the preservation committee, and have they presented their?
They went to they, along with all the other people, many of the other people that were in the BRAP program, went to the preservation committee, I believe, a week ago, but the preservation committee did not have a quorum. So they, and Val, if I'm getting this wrong, you tell me because you're on that committee.
We had a quorum, but because of the importance of these presentations, we wanted to take them under advisement, and we are having a special meeting this week on it.
Okay.
And so we are going to do it at that time. But there was a lot of importance that we needed to look at.
And not all, but you once, like Dave Nance was not there.
Well, he was the only one, but we wanted Dave there also because he's an integral part.
So
Just the
there
leader.
was some information. So anyway, and then they did go on to the BRAP committee meeting that was held last night. So I mean, I think them along with everybody are trying to cross all the T's and dot all the I's.
Okay. And I've mentioned this before, but we don't have to make anything official, but when we have someone come and request money from the council, to me, that it always seems like we're blindsided by that. And I would appreciate at least if the council would consider tabling that for 2 weeks. I don't know that anybody really needs to come that night and have funding that quickly. I like to do a little research before I make a vote on,
Well, you do get a council packet on Thursday and Friday, and that resolution was in the council packet for you to read. And so you could have a couple of days at least to look over if they're working terms. Yeah.
Just a thought. I mean,
I'm not against that.
From now on, if the council person is not completely comfortable with making a vote, just say, hey, make a motion to table it. That's all I'm saying.
And you could have done that.
You're right. I should have said voting nay. Okay. Another thing, the wall on 18th Street, 18th and Indian Avenue.
Yeah, I see that.
It's, I mean, I get the whole liability thing and whose responsibility it is, but if we need to help that landowner, it sounds like, somehow, and we need to do it as a city, because, I mean, they're just blocked and gravel just keeps getting worse. Is there anything we can do?
We're gonna have Joel prepare a letter that says that we're gonna fix it one more time, and they own it.
Right.
See, they don't want to take ownership. The state put it in. The state doesn't want to own it. We've met with them out there probably a dozen times. And the state, I've asked for a couple $1,000s. I've asked for $1,000. I've asked for them to assist, and they have nothing to do with it. So Joel's going to prepare a letter that says that I've got some contractors that will help city workers do it, and we're going to put a good drainage system in. It has no drainage system and free swell, push it out. Right. We're going to lower it one total row, so it'll be a little bit more stable. And now all of a sudden we have 2 blocks down. Those people are saying, well, ours is falling apart too. So now there's
I
fixed
know,
also.
domino effect, I get that.
And the state put it in, didn't ask anybody, didn't approve anything, just did it their way. And now it's in our lap. So we're the one on the corner, we're gonna fix it. But they're gonna know that they own it from then
Well, I
on.
know there was a question about having liability if it falls down, and we were the ones that fixed it. But I mean, can't they sign off on something that says, you know, we're not liable for that? I mean,
Who?
the landowner.
Well, they're gonna, if they want us to fix it, they're gonna sign it that they own it and it's on their homeowner's insurance and.
I didn't know if we could even go as far as, if we repaired it, just file a lien on the property, that if the property was ever sold, we actually are a lien holder for a portion of it.
We don't want our hands up. We don't want anything to do with it in the
Okay,
future.
I just throwing it out there.
We want them to know.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I've got.
Okay, the only thing, really I have is that Brenda is working now on a Facebook, basically just a message page, not a page where you can comment or anything, but an informational page, so that we'll be able to do exactly what on Facebook what you were wanting, Mike, as far as the meetings will all be posted on Facebook. We'll try, we believe we can put our resolutions and ordinances and our city council meeting agenda on Facebook, so that if anybody wants to look at a resolution or an ordinance before the meeting, so they can comment on it, they can do so. I think it can be used for a lot of things, and we'll put other meeting agendas on there as well. And
Anything that's going on.
hopefully build it. It'll be a work in progress and a building type of thing. But I talked to Brenda about that the other day, and she said she was going to work on that. I really appreciate that. And that's, I did appreciate, the mayor was down at the Juneteenth celebration. He represented the city. He was also there, Aaron. He represented the city well.
I stood right next to
As
him.
in the opener. And I did have a little fun with him because, you know, he wears a lot of hats, and sometimes his hat is restroom maintenance. And
It was an IU hat.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not trying, yeah. And I was coming out of the restroom, and he was coming to the restroom with his hands loaded down with toilet paper. And I just jokingly said, "You're the one that's been cramming all toilet paper." Of course he wasn't, but anyway, I appreciate that he's there and, you know, working for the city. So that's all I've got. Please do your report and your post report.
Chief, do you have anything else?
Just a couple things, I wanted to update everybody on. The pool security, I'm happy, you know, I put it out there. I put it out there within our computer system to every agency within Henry County, got nobody to buy. I wanted that question from the council, that if we keep that money separate from the police department's salary line, can I offer officers time and a half or double time to work that detail for like 4 hours a day at the pool? When me and Mike talked originally, it was right after that last shooting in Texas, so we were talking about how soft of a target we have down there. So I got to thinking about the big picture of what if we have just somebody down there that's not armed, something like that happens. We're kind of in the same boat we are now. I know we've had some fights and some other minor stuff, but I think if we were to up that money as a different project like we do with Operation Pullover money or Aries drug interdiction money, where we can pay time and a half for double time, we get a lot more people to jump on it from within the police department. Work that detail. Because not all the guys are working the highway stuff, but a lot of the guys that do are the ones that want to work overtime, but it's kind of hard to compete with $50 an hour.
Well, I think we've got the resolution tonight to vote on that $10,000 we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting. But I think once we vote on that, then wouldn't the chief and park board have latitude to use that as they.
How they
see
would
fit.
use it, yeah.
So if you.
I think so.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, how many weeks we got left, Mike?
5.
5. I think if we don't get it every day, we're gonna get most days, if I up to the hour.
yeah, I think you can use it as you see fit. You know, it's not the place to be a little more secure than it is.
Sure. I was down there today. We've been trying to get officers down there every day. Today we were really busy. We were shorthanded. I had Assistant Chief Warlow out getting x-rays because he tackled somebody for the first time since high school. So yeah, body cams, we've been getting different parts in. We haven't got the cameras in yet. We're still, it's the same way for everybody, just constantly waiting. The police department, we picked our flooring out. Jim's getting us quotes on that. They're getting ready to start drywall. And I think we've got everything wiring and heating, cooling taken care of. So once the drywall starts going up, it won't be long after that, so. Good. That's all I have. Chief?
No, I just say, in regards to the police officers who are honored this evening, what a lot of people don't realize is how closely we work together and how something like that affects the safety of the firefighters. Because if they don't do that, when we get there, then we're going to take extra risk for those citizens. Could result in firefighter injuries. So, for those police officers, good job and much appreciated.
Well, and the police officer already rolling, so it's not that it took the fire department a long time to get there, it's just that, the police officers are already rolling.
The police are always going to get there first, and we'll try to do whatever we can if it's pointing out hydrants or whatever, but we're hand in hand with both EMS and fire on everything.
I say it all the time. People in this community have no idea how closely you guys work, and you don't huddle up and say, you guys go do this, you go do this. I mean, when the tones come in, they do their job, and we've got a lot of people thankful for and a lot to be proud of with all three of our professional services. Chief?
Yeah, I just wanted to let the council know, I told Board of Works this morning, we were awarded a grant from the State Department of Health for their Health Issues and Challenges program for $447,112. That will help our community paramedic program that we already have established, just expand that even further.
They did that grant from within.
Yeah, all that in.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Anything else?
Yes.
Mike?
I don't have anything, but I'd like to reemphasize what Chief Goldfield just talked about. On a daily basis, we can put 500 to 700 to 800 people through the doors of Baker Pool, and just having it's not an officer on duty, it's an officer or security presence for a number of things. But in the world that we live in today, we need to be as proactive as possible with those situations. Anytime when I was an athletic director, when we hosted contests, we always had security there. And I mean, that's one of the biggest, Baker Pool is one of the biggest, or the most populated areas every single day within our community. So I appreciate the effort and consideration.
I don't have anything else. Brendan? Kendra? Doug? Greg?
Nothing.
Please.
The only thing that I would like just to consider at some point, and Gina's not here, but Greg will back me up on this, and so will Greg Phillips. We're having a real hard issue right now, getting applicants with CDLs. I'm down a person, Greg Phipps is down a person. To no one's fault, the federal government came along and added you have to go to school. And the school is anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. It depends on which CDL driver's license you get. And Class B is the cheaper, Class C is cheaper than that. To drive our trucks, we need Class Bs with air brake endorsement, okay? Is there any way that we can put an incentive out there where if somebody came that was willing to go to the school, that once they passed the school, we could reimburse them if they signed some kind of a lengthy time to make sure they just didn't come and use us as a stepping stone to get their CDL and then go to another place of employment. But right now, I asked Gina last week, Friday, I believe, if we had anybody. There's a total of 3 applicants, and none of them have a CDL driver's license. And so it's not that we're not advertising. I'm telling everybody that I know it's on the website. But no one wants to come out of pocket with the $3,500, $5,000, $2,000, whatever it is, right up front to try to get their CDLs. And then, on top of that, you have to take the driving test, which is another $125 on top of the $5,000 maximum, I think is what it is. So it's just something that you guys maybe could think of and come up with some solutions, because we have to do something to generate some activity to get some people hired.
We'll consider that.
The only thing I have is everybody's required to be at the field house this weekend at 12 o'clock for the hoopla. Would even accept Bearcats this weekend. We'd let some Muncie Bearcats come to town.
Are you going to
It's going to be an exciting weekend, car show, food trucks.
Haynes is gonna be there, Ed.
Good, that's my favorite food truck. There's going to be a fireman's, the whole county-wide fireball, what do you call it, water ball contest. So, and that's from the pool all the way to the field house. So it's going to be a big weekend, but we've got to get over 700 people in the knockout to beat the Dallas Mavericks and Mark Cuban. And I presume that we'll own that title as long as Mark Cuban will let us own that title. So it's going to be, we've got some exciting people coming back to participate and to just make appearances. It's going to be a fun weekend. So everybody needs to be there. And if we've got 700 or 699, your wives are going to shoot, or your grandkids are going to shoot, so we need everybody out there this weekend to help participate in that. That's all I have.
Okay, now we can move on to new business. The first thing I want to bring up comes out of the BRAT meeting they had last night. One of the things, of course, the committee is looking, and Jerry, feel free to correct me if I get this all wrong, or Carrie can. But the committee is looking at extending the money. One of the ways they're looking at extending the money is grouping roofs together to get a lower cost. Another thing that was asked was if the city would consider on these specific projects waiving our non-state building permits and inspection fees. And I talked to Kenny this morning or today about this. At that time, he said he didn't see a problem with it, but if he does see a problem with it now, I'll let you speak to that. And that would help out these, that would basically, it would either help these businesses to have a little more money to spend, or it would help them to be able to give back money to the program so that the program would have money to spend. And they're really close, actually, to having enough money to fund some more projects if we do this. So I'm going to make a motion to waive all non-state building permit and inspection fees to the projects in the BRAT group.
We've got to be careful how we word that, because we still have to do the inspections.
Yeah, and we're waiving the fees.
So they've got to call and have the inspection.
We're just waiving the fees.
You know, I get the intent of that, I do. But from being a contractor for 40 years and spending thousands of dollars in building permits, it just seems like the contractors we've got out there, that if you're not involved in that downtown project, he's getting penalized because he's not getting his permits waived. I mean, just food for thought. I mean, the intent is good, but I just don't know how it's going to snowball, with a lot of contractors. I mean, that's just.
That's fine, I just told him I would,
Yeah.
I told him I'd bring this up, and Jerry, you know, he basically said he'd bring it up. It's not, we didn't promise anything. So.
And with this being something new, Lynn, we're just trying new things. You know, it might be next year, if we're lucky enough to go through this again, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know, there's some things that we've already found that we didn't do real well. And that will be corrected, but this will be one little thing, maybe push some more dollars to one of the other projects that we weren't able to fund yet. It's not gonna be that much, but I understand fully where you're coming from. I really do, and that's a great point, sir, because I brought up the same thing last time too.
Is it 14 different?
Not being funded, not all of it's being funded right now.
There were 14 that started.
There were 14 total
different
applications, yeah.
Different people, different companies?
There were a couple of double ups.
I'm gonna ask Mr.
Just,
Murphy.
I said they get one, they don't get two. I mean, if there's 4 people, same person gets more.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Murphy to come forward. He will read us the list of projects. I consider him an expert in this field, so we can have him come forward and still be.
This is everybody that applied, not everybody that got funded. Right, so there were 14 different applications, 9 got funded. I'm sorry, I'll steal that from you. I know. Well, could the print be any smaller? No, the Courier Times building, Edwards Jewelers, Castle Theater, Artistry Annex, FC Tucker. FC Tucker received money for commercial space and then also upper living space. The Old Smith Jewelers and Broad Street Partners. That's what was funded.
What's Broad Street Partners?
Broad Street Partners is the building owner for where Primo is located.
All right, thank you, Craig.
I don't know if that helps or not.
Well, people wanted to know what they were, so.
What about the businesses that aren't getting anything and still have to buy permits? I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well, it's. Okay, well, I made a motion, I haven't heard a second, so if there's no second, the motion dies for lack of a second. So we'll move on. Okay, we'll go to, the first thing, I want to go to ordinance first simply to get this out of the way, but down there under third reading for ordinance, that's supposed to be 3882. We're going to table that because we cannot do a third reading on that until the planning commission has okayed that change. So we're not going to do that. Okay, the first resolution we have tonight is Resolution 06212022-1. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. And this is using ARP. Common Council hereby allocates a sum of up to $4,000 for the repair or replacement of sidewalk adjacent to North Main Street Park. 2, the written fiscal plan for the expenditure of revenue received from the Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund is attached. And basically, it's the same type of language you've had in every one of these. So I would move that we allocate that $4,000 for the repair or replacement of the sidewalk in front of the North Main Street Park.
Second.
And is there any discussion? Moved and second, any discussion? This came about, I talked to Mike, Mr. Bowden one day, and he mentioned that that was a place that he thought we could use a sidewalk near a park. I drove over there, it looks terrible, and so I forwarded that to Mr. Barker, who got some, is in the process of getting the bids, and he felt that $4,000 would be more than enough, so any part of that that's not used for this sidewalk will remain on ARP funds. So,
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Is this work being bidded?
No, I shouldn't say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say he's bidding it, I should say he's getting a quote. I said bid, but he's just getting a quote from the people that do our normal sidewalk stuff. This is not enough money that you have to take, take several bids.
He does our normal sidewalks.
He'll get quotes from 3 different companies.
Yeah, he's, I don't know, Dave's pretty good with it. I mean, okay, so, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jeff Hammond. Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hover.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Beckman.
Aye. Okay, this next one, and after we get a motion in a second, we can discuss it. Mr. Dickens will give us some more information. Now therefore be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. And this is 062-12022-2. The Common Council hereby appropriates from the Riverboat Fund the sum of $4,000 to obtain assistance from the city's Historic Preservation Commission through Indiana Landmarks Commission Assistance Program. And I will pass that.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion, questions? You want to talk about it a little later?
I think I've teed this up pretty good.
Yeah, okay, email.
She would not be, it would be the new regional director, which is a lot of the East Central Indiana counties, but she actually resides in Newcastle, would not be a voting member. She'd review all the COAs, distribute materials, admin type level stuff, but you've got somebody on there who's gone to school for preservation, is connected and well connected within Indiana landmarks. I think this just increases the standard for a preservation commission, and which our historic district is on the national registry too. So that's something to keep in mind. I think this is just a no-brainer.
Ms. McNellis, you're on that. Do you have any?
No, he's not.
Okay, well, I want to give you a chance for input since you're an expert, in my opinion. Okay, so we've had a motion, a second. Hearing no more discussion, roll call vote, please.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hover.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue.
Aye.
Rex Beckman.
Aye. Okay, that moves us on to resolution number 06212022-3. Now therefore be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. The Common Council hereby appropriates from the Riverboat Fund the sum of up to $2,000 for the preparation of a team assessment report by Schaefer Leadership Academy regarding the operation of and interaction between the City Council, Mayor, and Clerk Treasurer. Mr. Dickens, do you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We pass resolution 06212022-3. And thank you for the opportunity.
He's out of the room, so if anybody wants to back down for that.
And I'll second that. And so we've got a motion and a second. Does anybody have any discussion or questions?
I think it's a great idea. I have to do it at the hospital, every year we do it. I know other corporations do it. I sure the world don't think it is. And I think it's a benefit to all the department heads, to tell you the truth.
Doesn't hurt to take a good look at yourself.
Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Mike Duffy.
Aye.
Jerry Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens.
Aye.
Mark Hover.
Aye.
Lynn Purdue. Rex Beckman.
Aye. The last resolution is the one I handed you and added to the agenda. This is resolution 06-21-2022-4. Now therefore be resolved by the Common Council of the City of Newcastle, Indiana as follows. The Common Council hereby appropriates from local income tax revenues received for public safety purposes the sum of $10,000 for the hiring of a park security officer to patrol the city parks. I would move we pass that motion or resolution.
So,
Is this going to be like a full year, full-time position?
Probably more just during the summer months, because that's when we have the pool open, and that's why the sum is not more than that. We're gonna fund it now, and then we'll have to determine, the finance committee and the mayor will determine, and then bring it before the council as to how it might be funded in the future.
Is that enough?
Probably we've only got
For the remainder. Yeah, we were just talking the remainder
this year. Right. Yeah, because we just got a month and a half left. They'll probably work some as far as maybe going around some of the parks after that until the fall comes. Okay, any other discussion on this? Okay, hearing none, roll call vote.
Mike Sheffield.
Aye.
Gary Walden.
Aye.
Aaron Dickens. Mark
Aye.
Hope. Lynn Purdue. Rex Stackhouse.
Aye. Okay, that completes our business for tonight, and so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved.